Hey guys, how you doing today? Just got out of the grocery store. Thought I'd make a video on my walkabout. Today's news is the University of Toronto academic workers have voted in overwhelming numbers to go on strike. This is just a sign of more of the failure of capitalism. What's happening to these poor, this is the TAs, right? Teachers' assistants mainly. These people who are still going to school, right? Who are still trying to get an education, who are still trying to educate themselves to become more productive, better citizens. The workload that they are being given, as it is with all capitalist enterprises, has steadily been going up, right? So they're getting more and more work put on their plate. While simultaneously the wages that they're receiving have stagnated or are in decline. So the people who are studying to be your doctors, lawyers, engineers, these people can't pay rent, especially in the city of Toronto, where the billionaire class has hoarded our housing market in order to speculate for future profits for themselves, right? This strike, in my view, is just going to be handled by the Ford administration the way conservatives handle all of these. They're going to pass legislation to force these workers back to work. They're going to try to break the strike up. The media will demonize and or ignore this strike completely, because an individual strike by a small group's union, at this stage in the game, as capitalism is in this free fall decay, is no longer going to be enough. This strike needs to connect itself to other unions, which in tandem need to do solidarity strikes. We need to be moving towards a mass general strike across this entire nation for anything to actually happen, for anything to actually occur. That's what it's going to take at this point, right? We no longer have the luxury of having a political class that's actually responding to us. We no longer have the luxury of having leadership that are listening to us. Like, for goodness sakes, the Conservative Party has been taken over by conspiracy nuts, far right-wing lunatics, like, what's her name? Cheryl Gallant, who literally said that Justin Trudeau is trying to normalize sex with children. Like, these are the people who are taking over the Conservative Party. The Conservative Party traditionally being the party that takes over once we realize the Liberals are a fraudulent party who are interested in promoting the death cult of capitalism. And so we have this terrifying situation where we have an ineffectual, limp, liberal government federally. The provinces have largely been taken over by capital in the form of the Conservatives. And here we have a small group of TAs in a single university who are trying to go on strike to stand up for their rights so that they can receive equitable pay, so that their workload can be reduced, so that they can focus on their studies, so that they can be the best doctors, teachers, lawyers, engineers, among other pursuits that they possibly can be. And the capitalist class is not going to tolerate that, because capitalism doesn't think about what's going to happen tomorrow. Capitalism thinks about the money it's going to squeeze from you today. And the only way we're actually going to resolve that, the only way at this stage that we're actually going to push things forward, is with a mass general strike. It's the only thing the capitalists will pay attention to. It's the only thing they'll listen to. They're not reasonable people, right? Capitalists are not interested in negotiating in good faith, right? They are interested in destroying everything you hold dear and stealing all of your resources. That's what the capitalists want to do. If they could replace you with a robot, they would. And they are going to replace you with a robot to the extent that they can. And they're just going to throw you in the gutter, right? How do we know that's true? It's exactly what they're doing. You can observe it, right? They're not supporting policies to help people. They're not supporting policies to actually How do we free people up from wage slavery? They're not even talking about wage slavery. They're not interested in bringing that concept up. They're not interested in having a well-articulated idea of what wage slavery is for the populace to actually rally behind. No political class, no politician is actually mentioning the fact that, oh hey, the people who actually do all the work don't own the shares in the company that they work for. So that means that whoever owns these shares owns these people, right? And incidentally, the people who own the shares, they don't do any work. Their work is absolutely meaningless, unproductive, parasitic, financialization, right? Financialization, we should come to understand, is just parasitism. It's just a parasite latching onto the side of productive activity. And so what these people need to do, what these unions need to start doing, right? They need to start operating in tandem with one another. And they're not going to be able to rely on union leadership to do that for them. That's what's deeply unsettling, right? The capitalist class is just taking over these unions, right? It's corrupting the unions. It's buying off union leadership so that the union leadership will just kowtow to what the capitalist class wants them to do. It's exactly the same thing that the capitalists have done to the communist parties throughout Canada, right? You can't really get involved in a communist party here in Canada because the capitalists bought up all the communist parties and then just sit on them. They're not interested in organizing. They're not interested in trying to organize. They're not interested in any of that. They want you to work for them, just like these TAs, right? They want the TAs to do all of this work, to do all of the work and pay them next to nothing, while the capitalists go off and do absolutely no work whatsoever and are worthless parasites who suck blood out of the society, right? We're in this like very troubled time. We're in this very troubled time, and my heart goes out to these TAs, teachers' assistants, who are trying to strike in order to actually get something done, right? And I will happily report on what happens to these kids here, but I fully expect that they'll just be ordered back to work, and the people who don't comply will receive fines and perhaps be reprimanded in some way, or like me, they'll just be fired, right? They'll just be fired, right? So, because what we have seen that is effective in this country is mass mobilization onto the streets. I always bring up the climate change rally that happened here in Toronto. The climate change rally that happened here in Toronto scared these guys shitless. It scared them absolutely shitless. There was 100,000 people on the streets of Toronto rallying about the issue of climate change, and it actually forced these liberals to at least pretend as though they care about the issue. It forced them to actually at least talk about the issue, at least say in public, oh yeah, we care about climate change, even though all they've ever done about it is put on like the most ineffectual carbon tax ever, coupled with a ban on straws and plastic bags. You guys, really effective stuff. That would have been effective 20 years ago, but and this is how they're going to operate, right? And the reason why I want to talk about these sort of strike movements and why I want this channel to talk more about strikes and unions is because the only thing that the capitalist class is going to respect is a mass general strike. It's the only thing they're going to respect. They're not going to respect human decency. They're not going to respect basic morality. They're not going to respect any of that. The only thing they are going to respect is a threat to their bottom line, because they don't care about you. They don't care about your interests. They want to work you to death, and if they can get you to work to death for free, they will do that. We've seen it. over and over and over again. And we just shouldn't trick ourselves into believing that these people can be negotiated with in good faith, right? The capitalists buy politicians, they buy media networks, they buy public opinion so that they can keep people working. They're not interested in improving anybody's life. And these kids, because they're the TAs, they know it, right? Which is why they're voting to strike. And why we should be paying attention, and why any organization should be having strikes in solidarity, right? But of course, a solidarity strike has been rendered illegal. So you can't just strike for no reason. No, you need to have an official strike, because the powers that be have to actually also take the only power that organized labor has to fight against a sociopathic death cult that's attempting to destroy the nation, which is the right to strike, the right to refuse work. We are constantly going to be in this struggle until we get rid of these capitalists, right? We are constantly going to be in this eternal struggle with these capitalists until we actually just purge them from our society, until we structurally change it so that a capitalist cannot exist. And we're not even close. We're not even close to this. Right? This is the thing that's the most embarrassing about what's happening in Canada. We like to believe that we're like living in this free, open, fair society where, oh, everything's voluntary and all of this. We're basically serfs working in a society that genuinely is structured to destroy itself. So my heart goes out to these kids. I hope that they get what they're looking for. I hope they actually receive. But this is the thing: even if there is a capitulation, because of how entrenched the capitalists are, right? The capitalists, if you said, "Oh, hey, all I'd like is for my wages to go up by a penny," right? It would take 6 months. There'd be a whole media slander campaign, right? Because the capitalists know and understand that a capitulation of any sort, right, can't be tolerated. The capitalists can't be seen as rational, willing to help anybody. They have to entrench in solidarity with one another, right? While simultaneously dividing the unions and dividing the populace amongst itself. Because they know that if the populace actually organized itself under a singular banner, that would be the end of the capitalist class. And when that happened last time here in North America, we ended up with New Deal legislation. But even that wasn't good enough, because it maintained the power of the capitalist class to turn around and then dismantle said legislation. Which is why we need to get rid of these capitalists by transferring all of the shares that they own into the hands of the workers, thereby completely destroying the capitalist class, ensuring that it cannot survive. But good luck on that. All right, guys, this will be the end of me. Please like this. Please subscribe. If you've made it to the end of this video, please subscribe. Share it around. Do all the kind of stuff. Do all the sort of normal stuff. I'm going to be coming out with a pretty special video soon. One that's actually edited for, instead of just like this standard me walking around talking thing. I got time on my hands, so I figure, hey, let's do one. What else can I say? Oh, hey, if you want to give me a buck, I got a Patreon down below. I could take a buck, right? I'd love to have that. Good luck out there, guys. Like, we're living in very dark times where things will probably get worse, much worse, before they get at all better. And we've got to come together. We've got to organize. I know I'm organizing with Socialist Action. That's down in the link below. Please consider joining. Please consider organizing, right? We need to get together. These guys are going to keep gaslighting us. They're going to keep dividing us. They're going to keep doing what they need to do to entrench their own power and destroy us, right? We need to fight back. Okay, guys, you're doing all the right stuff. You're making good decisions in your life. I love you all. Good luck. We're going to need it.